Imagine waking up tomorrow and Taiwan is still standing. No missiles over Taipei. No invasion. No tanks crossing a beach. Just ships. Chinese forces begin enforcing a blockade around the island, stopping ships from getting in and making it increasingly difficult for anything to get out. At first, the world might barely notice. Then fuel deliveries begin to slow. Factories start watching their inventories. And governments thousands of miles away realize something terrifying. Taiwan doesn't have to be invaded to be brought to a standstill. So if China tried to blockade Taiwan tomorrow, how long could the island hold out? Before the blockade became a crisis for everyone else. For decades, the Taiwan Strait has carried something more important than warships. It has carried normal life. Container ships moving between Asian ports, tankers carrying fuel, cargo heading toward factories, stores, and homes. From a satellite, it can look almost ordinary. But now imagine one of those ships approaching Taiwan tomorrow morning. The captain checks the route. Ahead, a Chinese vessel is waiting. His radio comes alive with a new instruction: stop, wait for inspection, do not proceed. He has a choice: turn around, or keep going into a situation that could change by the minute. That's how a blockade could begin. Not with an explosion, with hesitation. The Taiwan Strait is only about 130 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, and many of Taiwan's major ports sit close to mainland China. One matters more than most: Kaohsiung. In 2022, roughly 57% of Taiwan's maritime trade entered through this single port. It is also the island's busiest port for containerized goods and oil, with Taiwan's largest LNG import facility nearby. And that matters because Taiwan imports more than 95% of the energy it consumes. So the first battle wouldn't necessarily be over territory. It would be over access. And once access begins to disappear, Taiwan's real vulnerability starts to reveal itself. The first 24 hours would probably be the most deceptive. Taipei would still look normal. Traffic would move through the streets, restaurants would open, people would go to work. But inside Taiwan's power control rooms, ports, and factories, normal would already be disappearing. Because the first thing a blockade threatens isn't necessarily the internet, or the power grid, or even the economy. It threatens the shipments that keep all three running. Imagine an engineer sitting in front of a control screen, watching fuel inventories. Yesterday, that number was routine. Today, it has a countdown attached to it. Taiwan imports more than *95.8% of its energy needs asterisk. So if tankers stop arriving, the problem isn't that Taiwan suddenly runs out of electricity. The problem is that every decision becomes more important. Which generators should run? Which industries can keep operating? How much fuel should be held back for hospitals, homes, and essential services? And then another clock begins. Taiwan's semiconductor factories. TSMC's most advanced chips are deeply tied to industries around the world, from artificial intelligence and data centers to smartphones and automobiles. A factory manager doesn't need to hear the word blockade to understand what a shipping disruption means. A missing shipment can become a delayed production line. A delayed production line can become a missing component. And a missing component can eventually reach a factory thousands of miles away. That's when the crisis changes character. Because Taiwan isn't just trying to survive without the world. The world is beginning to discover how much it depends on Taiwan. And Beijing now faces a question of its own. How do you keep that pressure from becoming a war? By the end of the first week, the blockade would no longer feel like something happening somewhere beyond the horizon. It would start appearing in decisions. A tanker captain receives another warning. The route ahead is still technically open, but the insurance has changed. The risk has changed. And suddenly, turning around looks safer than continuing. So the ship turns. Then another vessel waits offshore. Then another changes course. No missiles. No explosions. Just ships quietly deciding not to enter. And that is when the blockade becomes something more powerful than a line on a map. It becomes uncertainty. Taiwan can draw on reserves and alternative supplies, but those reserves are not unlimited. Its energy system remains heavily dependent on imported fuel, and CSIS research identifies energy as one of the island's critical vulnerabilities in a prolonged blockade. Inside factories, managers begin making decisions that would have sounded absurd a week earlier. Which production lines keep running? Which orders can wait? Which materials are too valuable to use today? And thousands of miles away, another chain reaction begins. A company waiting for Taiwanese chips doesn't need to see a warship to feel the blockade. It sees a delayed shipment, then a delayed product, then a factory schedule that no longer makes sense. Because Taiwan's semiconductor industry is deeply embedded in global technology supply chains. But there is an uncomfortable twist. The ships disappearing around Taiwan aren't only carrying goods to Taiwan asterisk. They're carrying goods through the region asterisk asterisk. About $2.45 trillion in goods passed through the Taiwan Strait in 2022, including roughly $1.4 trillion in Chinese imports and exports. So by the end of the first week, Beijing faces a problem of its own. The blockade is beginning to squeeze the country imposing it. By the second week, Taiwan would no longer be the only place watching the sea. In Washington, Tokyo, and other capitals, another question would be taking shape. What happens if someone tries to break the blockade? Imagine a merchant ship approaching Taiwan under the protection of a foreign escort. The ship is carrying ordinary cargo. No missiles. No troops. Just supplies. Then a Chinese vessel moves across its path. For a few minutes, nothing happens. Nobody fires. Nobody turns away. The entire crisis hangs on a decision made somewhere inside two ships. That is the dangerous part of a blockade. It creates situations where escalation can happen without anyone planning a war. In 2025, CSIS ran 26 wargames examining different Chinese blockade scenarios. Some remained relatively contained. Others escalated into much wider conflict. The researchers found that escalation pressures appeared at almost every level of the confrontation. And the choices can begin to narrow. If China boards a merchant vessel, another government has to decide whether to protect it. If an escort refuses to move, China has to decide whether to force it back. If someone gets hurt, the next decision becomes even harder. The map hasn't changed, but the number of people making decisions inside that map has exploded. And suddenly, what began as an attempt to pressure Taiwan is no longer controlled by Taiwan or China alone. Because once outside powers are forced to choose between accepting the blockade and challenging it, the question is no longer whether the blockade can continue. It's whether anyone can stop the escalation once it begins. And now the question becomes much harder. Not whether China could create pressure, but whether it could sustain it. Because a blockade can begin with ships. It can begin with inspections, warnings, rerouted cargo, and uncertainty. But eventually, somebody has to decide how long it continues. If Taiwan refuses to give in, Beijing faces a difficult choice. Keep the pressure going, escalate it, or find a way to end the confrontation without appearing to have backed down. And time creates another problem. China itself is deeply connected to the same shipping network it would be disrupting. Around $1.4 trillion of Chinese imports and exports passed through the Taiwan Strait in 2022, according to CSIS estimates. Those flows included energy, industrial materials, and manufactured goods. So the pressure doesn't move in only one direction. It can come back. Then there is technology. TSMC continues expanding manufacturing outside Taiwan, including major investments in the United States, Japan, and Europe. But Taiwan remains central to its most advanced production. In 2025, 7-nanometer and more advanced technologies accounted for 74% of TSMC's wafer revenue. A prolonged blockade could therefore trigger a reaction far beyond the Taiwan Strait. Companies would search for alternatives. Governments would accelerate new supply chains. Countries would rethink energy reserves and shipping routes. The longer the crisis lasted, the more the world would begin preparing for a future in which Taiwan could no longer be treated as reliably accessible. And that creates the blockade's deepest contradiction. China could use isolation to pressure Taiwan. But the longer that isolation continues, the more the rest of the world has an incentive to adapt around it. And eventually, Beijing would face the question hidden inside the entire strategy. How much pressure is enough before the cost of applying it becomes greater than the benefit of continuing? So could China blockade Taiwan? A realistic answer is yes. China has the military and maritime capabilities to create severe pressure around the island, and its forces have repeatedly conducted exercises that include elements relevant to quarantine or blockade scenarios. But that isn't the same as saying a blockade would be easy to sustain, or that it would produce a quick political victory. Because Taiwan is not simply a piece of territory surrounded by water. It is connected to energy markets, shipping networks, semiconductor supply chains, financial systems, and the strategic interests of other governments. That means the real power of a blockade would come from isolation. But its greatest weakness could come from the same place. The world is connected to Taiwan too. China could try to close the sea around one island. But the consequences would travel far beyond it. They would reach factories in Asia, technology companies in America, energy markets around the world, and families who have never looked at a map of the Taiwan Strait. That is why the central question isn't whether a blockade could hurt Taiwan. It almost certainly could. The harder question is whether Beijing could apply enough pressure to force Taiwan to bend before the pressure spreads back onto China, and before the blockade turns into the very conflict it was meant to avoid. Because in a connected world, sometimes the hardest thing to blockade is the consequence of your own blockade.